Have you felt that the weather is strange? As if the clock had a will of its own, now it runs, now it freezes. Or maybe you're more sensitive, more connected to things that previously went unnoticed. Sounds crazy, right? But what if I told you that it's not crazy? Is it a sign that your consciousness is expanding into a new reality? That's right. You may already be accessing the fifth dimension without even realizing it. What no one told you, and that you will now understand, is that this process is real, subtle, and happens on a daily basis. You don't need to become a monk or run away to the mountains. Just start noticing the signs. Your intuition screams louder, your relationships are changing, and your body is giving alerts that have no medical explanation. This is spirituality applied in practice. It is your soul calling you to a new state of heightened consciousness. And if you've come this far, it's because something inside you already knows. He is already feeling it. It is already awakening. The question is, will you continue to ignore the signs, or will you understand once and for all what is happening? Get ready, because what you will discover here can turn the key to your spiritual journey forever. Comment below 5D if you've ever felt any of these signs. I want to see who is already vibrating in this new energetic frequency with us. Have you ever noticed how on certain days the hours just evaporate, and in others, it seems that time has stopped to take a nap? This non-linear perception of time is one of the first signs that consciousness is expanding into a new energetic frequency. When one lives aligned with the fifth dimension, linear logic begins to lose space to something much more fluid, the time of the spirit. And then, the clock may even mark an hour, but the heart feels another. During soul-touching activities, painting, meditating, writing, listening to deep music, it is common to go into a state of flow. The person gives himself so much that time just disappears. This is a direct reflection of a heightened state of consciousness. It's as if the universe said, "Relax, here time bends to accompany you." The most curious, the more significant the moment, the more you disconnect from the traditional chronology. And then come the synchronicities. You know that moment when you think of someone and they call you right away? Or when you're looking for an answer and it appears disguised in a random conversation or a sentence from a book? This is no coincidence. It is the universe responding to your inner vibration in a clear sign that the spiritual transition is underway. Reality begins to operate based on your vibrational alignment and no longer according to the fixed rules of time. For those who start to live this, a simple exercise is worth it. Start recording the moments when time disappeared. It can be in a notebook or even in the notepad of the cell phone. The goal is to notice patterns. In what situations does this happen most often? Who were you with? What were you doing? This vibrational journal helps you recognize when you are attuned to the fifth dimension, and more importantly, how to stay in it. And little by little, everything changes. The rush loses its charm. Delay becomes an opportunity. Anxiety begins to give way to trust in the flow of life. And you realize that you are no longer running against time, but sailing with it, like a spiritual surfer in full expansion of consciousness. Now, if the internal compass has already begun to guide your steps, just wait to see what happens when intuition comes into play. There are people who call it a hunch, others say it's just a gut feeling. But those who are on the path of spiritual transition know intuition is much more than a well-placed kick. When consciousness begins to vibrate at a new energetic frequency, the logical mind loses its protagonism and instinct gains voice. And not just any voice, a clear, firm, and surprisingly wise voice. Have you ever had that feeling of, "I don't know why, but I know this is it"? That's that. This is intuition speaking loudly, guiding choices that make sense even without rational explanation. Those who are spiritually awakening learn to trust this inner knowing. The mind may even argue, but the heart has already decided. And most of the time, when you follow that impulse, life flows better, as if the universe is saying, "This is it." Developing this intuition is not the privilege of a few, it's training. Meditation is one of the most potent practices for this. It calms mental noise and makes room for the inner voice to manifest. Writing without thinking too much, the famous intuitive journaling, is also a portal. And don't underestimate the connection with nature. Listening to the birds, feeling the wind, stepping on the earth, all of this helps to align frequency with the fifth dimension. A practical example? The next time you have to make an important decision, before you go out asking everyone for their opinion, be silent for a few minutes. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what do I really feel about this? The answer may not come in words, but it will. It can come as a feeling of lightness, or that famous "I don't know how to explain it, but that's not the case." And that's okay. Intuition is soul whispering. And as this heightened state of consciousness deepens, intuition becomes almost an everyday superpower. It begins to guide you along more authentic paths, more aligned with who you really are. And when the body begins to react to internal changes with signs that are not always so subtle, that's where it gets even more interesting. You know that day when you wake up with weird pressure in your head, as if your brain is being recalibrated, or that tingling in the hands and feet, which appears out of nowhere, with no convincing medical explanation. That's that. Many call it madness. But those who are going through an expansion of consciousness understand these are real symptoms of a deep, energetic realignment. The frequency has changed, and the body needs to keep up. During this spiritual transition, it is common for the physical body to manifest itself with signs that, at first, seem like diseases. Sudden fatigue, sleep disturbances, sudden changes in appetite. All of this can be a response to the new vibrational pattern that is installed. The old energy is being turned off, and the system needs time to adapt to the new energetic frequency. It's not weakness, it's updating. And the secret here is not to fight against, but to collaborate. Are you tired for no reason? Rest. Do you feel like you need water? Hydrate yourself mercilessly. Noticed a strange anxiety? Try a bath with coarse salt or meditate with an amethyst in your hands. These small gestures are like fine tunings that help in the process. A good crystal, light nutrition, and even walking barefoot can accelerate this vibrational alignment. Of course, this does not mean ignoring medical care, ever. But often what traditional medicine does not explain, spirituality translates clearly. The body, after all, is the temple that houses this expanding consciousness. And like any structure that undergoes an internal reform, it shows signs. Listening to them with affection and respect is an act of self-love and a big step toward the fifth dimension. The truth is that once we start to feel the body talking so clearly, it is difficult to ignore the impact of this on everything around us, especially in relationships. And that's when the social circle starts to change, not by forced choice, but by pure vibrational attunement. There comes a time in the spiritual journey when, without warning, some connections simply cease to make sense. There is no fight, no hurt, just that silent feeling that something has gone out of alignment. This happens because by raising your energetic frequency, you naturally stop vibrating in the same tune as certain environments and people. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like changing radio stations. What used to play beautifully, now only generates noise. It's common for old friendships to start drifting apart, for family groups to become more distant, or for that years-long relationship to seem to have lost its luster. But it's not about becoming superior, but about no longer fitting in where your energy doesn't circulate freely. Spiritual awakening changes your priorities, your outlook, and even the way you communicate. And what does not accompany this new state of heightened consciousness simply dissolves. The curious thing is that at the same time that some doors close, others open with impressive synchronicity. You start to come across people who think alike, feel similar, and are walking the same path of expanding consciousness. And these encounters are not by chance, they are vibrational responses to your new inner state. It's as if the universe says, now that you're ready, here are your new allies. If you want to make this process easier, try something simple. Notice who you feel energized with after talking and who you feel drained with. This vibrational thermometer is spot on. Start prioritizing the connections that uplift you, that stimulate your growth, that really listen to you. These relationships not only support your spiritual transition process, but also help to keep the vibrational alignment high. And as these connections are refined, a curious thing happens. You start to rethink everything. Your goals, your achievements, even the reason why you wake up every day. And it is at this point that the change of priorities knocks on the door like a call impossible to ignore. When consciousness expands and the soul awakens, something changes quietly, but definitively. What once seemed essential, such as status, material possessions, or social recognition, begins to lose its luster. It's as if suddenly that external race no longer makes sense. In its place comes an inner search for something more authentic: peace, purpose, truth. This is a clear sign of vibrational alignment with the fifth dimension. Many people start to feel a strange discomfort at work. It is not common fatigue, it is a restless soul. The desire to drop everything and start over, to do something that really nourishes the soul, appears strongly. And it's not irresponsibility, it's clarity. The spiritual transition makes us realize that living only to fulfill tasks and achieve goals is to live by half. Life takes on another color when it is guided by purpose. Want to test this in practice? Grab a pen and paper and write, "What makes me feel alive?" And don't stop until you get a sincere answer. Then write, "What am I doing today that takes me away from this?" This exercise alone can cause a mini internal earthquake, because when you recognize what you love and what drains you, it's hard to keep ignoring it. And this discomfort is what drives the transformation. The truth is, when you begin to align with a new energetic frequency, the focus moves from having to being, and everything changes, from what you consume to who you hang out with. A silent lunch can nourish you more than a feast with false smiles. A walk at sunset can be worth more than a whole weekend in a crowded mall. The soul now has an active voice, and it is exactly at this turning point that nature enters the scene with prominence, not as a beautiful backdrop, but as a direct ally of his spiritual awakening process. Nature has always been there, but when the expansion of consciousness begins, it ceases to be just landscape and becomes language. The song of a bird, the wind in the face, the smell of wet earth. Everything gains meaning. It's as if the universe starts talking to you in natural code, and this new energetic frequency makes the signs be perceived with more clarity and sensitivity. Spiritual awakening opens the eyes, but especially the heart. Walking barefoot on grass, hugging a tree, meditating outdoors, these simple practices become sacred rituals. The connection with the earth anchors you, cleanses you, recharges you. And it's not hippie talk, it's pure vibrational physics. Nature acts as a great field of energetic realignment. It absorbs the excess, restores balance, and even attunes you to the elevated state of consciousness. All this without charging anything in return. Want an easy exercise? Leave home without headphones, without cell phones, without distractions. Walk in a park or square for 15 minutes, just watching, not judging, not rushing. Look at the sky, listen to the sounds, feel the ground. At first it seems silly, but in a few days, something inside begins to fall silent. And that inner silence is the sound of the fifth dimension setting in. Nature is the oldest therapy, and it remains one of the most effective. It is common that in this phase of the spiritual transition, you begin to notice messages in the behavior of animals, in changes in the weather, in the movements of the clouds. A hummingbird standing in the air, an unexpected rainbow, a sudden rain on a sunny day. All of this begins to have meaning. And no, it's not superstition, it's vibrational sensitivity. The universe manifests itself all the time. Only now you can hear it. And when this active listening intensifies, something even more magical happens. The events of life begin to line up so precisely that it even seems like a movie script. But it's no coincidence. It is synchronicity manifesting itself with increasing force. There are times when life seems to be in spiritual GPS mode, you know? You think of a person, they send you a message. You are reflecting on a subject, and a phrase on the billboard seems to answer your question. This is synchronicity in action, small everyday miracles that reveal that the universe is fully attuned to your vibration. And the more you get into vibrational alignment, the more these coincidences become routine. It's not magic, it's energetic resonance. Synchronicity works as a cosmic green light. It shows that you're on the right track, even when it doesn't make logical sense. It's that feeling that everything is falling into place fluidly, without effort, without struggle. Those in a heightened state of consciousness no longer seek to control. They just allow the flow to reveal the next step. And the most incredible? This flow seems to have an intelligence of its own, which takes care of the details while you take care of your vibration. Practical example, you decide to move to another city, even without knowing exactly why. Days later, a job opportunity arises in that place, or someone comments something that confirms their feeling. This is the universe responding to your alignment. The spiritual transition puts you in another rhythm, where decisions are not just rational, they are intuited, felt, guided by something greater. And this something greater communicates all the time, through synchronicities. To cultivate this flow, a good exercise is to start and end the day by writing down synchronicities, even the small ones. Over time, you'll realize that they're not random. They're patterns, messages, arrows pointing the way. And the more you give thanks for these signs, the more they appear. It's like saying to the universe, I'm listening, keep talking. The fifth dimension is, after all, a dance with life, and you're learning the steps. And now that all these signs have started to make sense, the time has come to tie all of this into a powerful call, because if you're feeling all of this, it's because something is already happening inside of you. And now that you understand what these signs really mean, what are you going to do with it? Will you go back to your routine as if nothing was happening? Or will you use this spiritual awakening as fuel to transform your life from the inside out? You are being called to live in a heightened state of consciousness, and to ignore this would be like covering the sun with a sieve. It's all there, screaming to be heard, your intuition, your body, time, the universe. So how about starting today to observe everything you feel with more presence? How about stopping judging yourself and starting to listen to yourself? That vibrational alignment that you seek so much is not something far away. It is already inside you, waiting for your permission to flourish. Change starts when you decide to open yourself up to the new, even if you don't understand everything yet, because feeling at this moment is much more important than knowing. Tell me here in the comments, which of these signs have you noticed in yourself? I want to know where you are in the journey and help you go even further. And of course, if this content made sense to you, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. This is just the beginning. There is much more to explore in this frequency of the fifth dimension.